World major philosophers. What is philosophy? Well, most people couldn't answer this question, and still neither can I. It depends on what kind of philosophy you're asking about. Philosophy of the mind, language, religion, etc. And yet, each category of philosophy is still too abstract. I started by looking up a brief definition of philosophy, and this is what I got. 1. Love and the pursuit of wisdom by intellectual means and moral self-discipline. 2. Investigation of the nature, causes, or principles of reality, knowledge, or values based on logical reasoning rather than empirical methods. 3. A system of thought based on or involving such inquiry, the philosophy of Hume. 4. The critical analysis of fundamental assumptions or beliefs. 5. The discipline presented in the university curriculums of science and the liberal arts except medicine, law, and theology. 6. The discipline comprising logic, ethics, aesthetics, metaphysics, and epistemology. 7. A set of ideas or beliefs relating to a particular field or activity, an underlying theory, an original philosophy of advertising. 8. A system of values by which one lives, has an unusual philosophy of life. 8 different definitions for one word comes to show how abstract the word really is. Seeing I'm more of a history person, I decided to research world major philosophers and their ideas of philosophy. Some of these philosophers I've heard of in previous classes, but most of them are new to me. St. Thomas Aquinas, Aristotle, Sir Francis Bacon, René Descartes, David Hume, Immanuel Kant, John Locke, Karl Marx, Frederick Wilhelm Nietzsche, Plato, Jean-Jacques Rousseau, Adam Smith, and Socrates. The first world major philosopher, St. Thomas Aquinas, was born in Italy during 1225. He later died on March 7, 1274. Thomas Aquinas was a priest, professor, and philosopher who influenced centuries of religious and academic thought with his methodical way of harmonizing faith and reason. Born to nobility in southern Italy, he became attracted to life as a monk and a scholar while a university student in Naples. He joined the Dominican religious order, but his family locked him up in their castle tower, hoping to change his mind. A year later, he escaped and studied in Paris. He was ordained a priest and taught in universities during the Scholastic era. Aristotle was born during 384 BC in Greece. He died in 322 BC. Aristotle is one of the big three in ancient Greek philosophy, along with Plato and Socrates. Socrates taught Plato, who in turn instructed Aristotle. Aristotle spent nearly 20 years at Plato's academy, first as a student and then as a teacher. After Plato's death, he traveled widely and educated a famous pupil, Alexander the Great, a Macedonian who nearly conquered the world. Later, Aristotle began his own school in Athens, known as the Lyceum. Aristotle is known for his carefully detailed observations about nature and the physical world, which laid the groundwork for the modern study of biology. Sir Francis Bacon was born on January 22, 1561 in London. He died on April 9, 1626. Francis Bacon was known as an English statesman, essayist, and philosopher, one of the great precursors of the tradition of British empiricism and of belief in the importance of scientific method. He emphasized the use of inductive reasoning in the pursuit of knowledge. René Descartes was born on March 31, 1596 in France. He died on February 11, 1650 with lung troubles. René Descartes is often called the father of modern science. He established a new clear way of thinking about philosophy and science by rejecting all ideas based on assumptions or emotional beliefs and accepting only those ideas which could be proved by or systematically deduced from directive observation. He took as his philosophical starting point this statement, "I think, therefore I am." Descartes made major contributions to modern mathematics, especially in developing the Cartesian coordinate system and advancing the theory of equations. David Hume was born on April 26, 1711 in Scotland. He died on August 25, 1776. David Hume was a prominent figure of the 18th century's Scottish Enlightenment. known especially for his skepticism and rejection of theism. His early philosophical work, A Treatise of Human Nature, first published anonymously around 1739, is considered a standard of Western philosophy. Hume, taking his cue from John Locke, rejected metaphysics in favor of a focus on the empirical method, the idea that experience and observation should be the foundation of all human knowledge. His dismissal of religion kept him from getting desired academic posts, but Hume became well known for his philosophical works and the controversies they caused, and his multi-volume History of England made him financially secure in his later years. Like his friend Adam Smith, Hume wrote about politics, economics, and the moral obligations of government. Immanuel Kant was born April 22, 1742 in Prussia. He died on February 12, 1804. German philosopher Immanuel Kant's position as one of the greats in Western metaphysics comes from works he published late in life, including Critique of Pure Reason and the Fundamental Principles of the Metaphysics of Ethics. His lectures made him internationally famous, and he followed an outstanding academic career with published works that became standards in Western philosophy. Kant, influenced by the works of David Hume, held that we could only know what we experience, what he called the phenomenal, and that we could never know that which is beyond experience, but what he called the nominal. On doing so, Kant ruled out the possibility of our demonstrable knowledge of God, without ruling out the existence of God. But he also argued for an absolute morality based on free will and rationality, referred to as a categorical imperative. Act as if the maximum from which you act were to become through your will a universal law. Kant's belief that our understanding of objects would always be skewed by our limited capacity to understand can be seen in his famous quote, "Out of the cropped timber of humanity no straight thing can ever be made." John Locke was born in England on August 29, 1632. Then he passed away on October 28, 1704. John Locke was a 17th century English philosopher whose ideas formed the foundation of liberal democracy and greatly influenced both the American and French revolutions. His contributions to philosophy include the theory of knowledge known as empiricism, which addressed the limits of what we can understand about the nature of reality. Locke held that our understanding of reality ultimately derives from what we have experienced throughout the senses. The political implications of his theories include the notions that all people are born equal and that education can free people from the subjection of tyranny. Locke also believed the government had a moral obligation to guarantee that individuals always retain sovereignty over their own rights, including ownership of property that result from their own labor. Karl Marx was born in Germany on May 5, 1818, and passed away on March 14, 1883. Karl Marx studied law and philosophy and was initially influenced by the works of G.W.F. Hegel. Marx rejected the idealism of Hegel and developed a more materialistic theory of history and science, ultimately predicting that the triumph of the working class was inevitable. With his collaborator Frederick Engels, Marx published the Communist Manifesto in 1848. Exiled from Europe, Marx lived in London, England, and earned money through the contributions to various newspapers, including the New York Tribune. Marx devoted the last decade of his life working on Das Kapital and was active in early communist organizations. His works greatly influenced modern socialism, and he is considered one of the founders of economic history and sociology. Friedrich Wilhelm Nietzsche was born on October 15, 1844 in Prussia. He later died on August 25, 1900. Friedrich Nietzsche was a German philosopher of the late 19th century who challenged the foundations of Christianity and traditional morality. He believed in life, creativity, health, and the realities of the world we live in rather than those situated in the world beyond. Central to his philosophy is the idea of life affirmation, which involves an honest questioning of all doctrines that drain life's energies, however socially prevalent those views might be. Often referred to as one of the first existentialist philosophers, Nietzsche